I just saw it up, so if I sound like I want to kill myself, it's because I do. The Crow remake is what I can only imagine happens when the studio gets a right to a film franchise but don't actually know what to do with it. And yes, I'm calling it a remake because by all intents and purposes, this movie is definitely a remake of the original film and no one can convince me otherwise. I did walk into this movie with almost zero good expectations. I had the expectation that this movie was going to be one of the worst things I ever watched. And in defense to the movie, it wasn't one of the worst things I've ever watched. It's still the big piece of shit that you should not go and see yourself. I watched it for free because I have OG Nimbus Plus and I still want my money back. Now, what I liked about the film was basically just one big thing, and that's that the last 20 minutes of this movie has an action set piece. So goddamn amazing. So fantastic. This action set piece makes for such an amazing scene. I think it's genuinely from a different film, because I don't know how we went from the trash that was like 95% of this movie to the fucking 5% that's actually really, really great.
That's pretty good.
But it's just also like, it's 5% of the movie. There's another 95% of trash to get through. It's not really worth the wait. You don't have a really bad meal, and then when you have a really good... You don't have a really bad meal, but then when the last course is actually pretty good, you say, the meal was good, just because the last course was good. No, the meal still sucked, you just liked the last serving. That's about all I liked about the movie. Let's talk about everything else. Where do I even begin? Like, this is just one of the most nothing burger movies I've ever sat through in my entire life. But when there is something interesting, it's because it's interestingly awful. It's laughing so damn hard at the first 10 minutes of this movie. This movie just has nothing but corporate greed behind it. I really cannot believe that this is a movie released in theatres and not released straight to streaming. Because I hate to say this, but straight to streaming is where this piece of shit belongs.
That is one big pile of shit.
The script here is also really bad. Obviously I don't have any clips to show you guys because the movie just came out. But trust me on this, the script is absolutely terrible. And also the pacing. This is the definition of a terribly paced movie. Action starts, I'm not kidding, maybe an hour 10 minutes into the film.
What? Bro, what are you talking about?
Most of the movie is centered around a romance that is so goddamn awfully done. You just don't buy into it at all. Here's what the romance consists of.
Number 6.
They break out of prison together.
Number 5.
They fuck.
Number 4.
They do some drugs together.
Number 3.
I think they drank together.
Number 2.
They have a bath together.
Number 1.
They rave.
Boring.
And we're seriously meant to buy into this relationship. Like,
No.
I don't buy into this. I don't care when they're both being brutally murdered. This movie also had a habit of just teasing me for absolutely no reason. What I mean by this is that action scenes kept starting to happen and I'd be like, oh, alright, we're getting into it now. It's actually going to be... Wait, what do you mean it's already over? It kept edging me so goddamn hard. I'm so serious. An action scene would start and then immediately you're like, oh no, this is too good, this is too good, this is too fun, we gotta end it. I'm just like, why? This is classed as an action film. You need to lean into the action. Because guys, if this movie didn't lean into the romance, it just leaned into the gory bully act. If they just leaned into more of that gory, violent action, I think this would have been a really fun, albeit flawed movie. The main villain, who is boring as shit by the way, also has a paranormal entity aspect to him. He whispers into people's ears this chant, in turn makes the people kill themselves. And that's basically all the main villain does in this movie. And can we talk about that Crow design? A few days before I even booked my tickets to this movie, I was talking to someone and I just showed them how genuinely terrible this Crow design is. He said something to me that has not escaped my mind ever since. It's when you burn it into my retinas. I couldn't stop thinking about the entire movie. The Crow looks like Jojo Siwa. This movie is just... It's made for money and nothing else, you know? I hate using that phrase, oh, it's just made for money. Because every single piece of media, every single product ever is made for money. There's a difference because most things are made for money, but also have genuine creativity and genuine passion put behind them. But this movie didn't. This movie, they just made it because they wanted to make a quick buck, which is probably fading in their faces right now. And this movie being a Crow remake just kind of ruins any chance of this film actually being adored or liked by anyone. Because in that aspect, it completely fails. This is nowhere near identical to the source material. Nowhere near. It may be identical to the Crow comics, but I've never read them. But from what I've heard, this isn't even identical to those. So you just gotta ask yourself, what's the point? If you just didn't call this movie The Crow, then I think this would have just flew under the radar. No one would have really talked about it. People would be like, it's fine. But it's the fact that it has this popular IP attached to it, one which also has a big tragedy attached to it, which kind of makes it disrespectful to it in a way. It just feels greedy and corporate and soulless, and I don't know, something about that just seems wrong to me. Anyway, this movie sucked 1.5 JoJo Siwas out of